May I start with you? We want to give people some... This is the end. This is the last session before we move to New York to see what's going on there. Because a lot of things what you've said, William, is that people get depressed what's that? I would like this session to give some positive to the people. What can we do? But you had your chance. I will... Rico, can you explain? What can you give to the people and offer?
So after today, with all the summation of all the stuff, is this thing on? Is it working?
No, it disconnected somehow.
I got the one George had, or no? Oh, it's okay. So with the summation of all the issues that we have globally, now it's up to me to provide the answer. Oh gosh. So I don't think any one party, political or otherwise, can provide a solution. And that would also go for Pirate Party. If there is a solution to be had, it's coming from you guys, right? So and maybe that is what Pirate Party represents, as it has a presence in over 60 countries worldwide, which is basically a grassroots organization. Okay, it's sprung from you guys, and yeah, we want to go into Parliament. So. If you would help us do that, then we might actually achieve that. So.
Thank you. Annie, can you give a little bit background information about the FIPS and all the things you do to help the whistleblowers, heroes, real heroes like Bill Binney, Snowden, and yourself?
Will do. Well, thank you very much for inviting me. I think this is the first time I've come back to Utrecht since 1997. And that time I was literally on the run from the British spy community. So this is where I came to hide. It was a very nice place for a week, a very real refuge. Yeah, my background is as an intelligence officer for the British Domestic Security Service, MI5. And I resigned with my then partner to blow the whistle on a series of crimes we had witnessed. And just as the story broke, we preemptively went on the run around Europe. So we were sort of the analogue version of Edward Snowden. Since then, there was a massive court cases, lots of media coverage, huge scandals. But since then, I've sort of reinvented myself. And I now speak across the world on a variety of different issues, including the war on terror, 9/11, whistleblowers, the war on the internet, the war on everything, pretty much, even the war on drugs, as I see them all very much interlinked. So it's a pleasure to be here. And one of the key aspects over the last few years is I've been working with a group called the Sam Adams Associates. Now, this is a global organisation of whistleblowers emerging from the intelligence agencies, the military, and the diplomatic services. And every year we come together to give an award to the person who displayed the greatest integrity in intelligence over the previous year. Last year we gave that award to Bill Binney, a big ceremony in Berlin. And this year it's going to John Kiriakou, who was the former CIA intelligence officer who exposed the CIA torture program. Strangely enough, he's the only one out of the CIA to have gone to prison, not the torturers. So that ceremony is happening in Washington on the 25th. And interestingly, the master of ceremonies is another whistleblower Brit called Ambassador Craig Murray. And he's just been told that he's no longer allowed into the United States to attend this ceremony. So, and he blew the whistle over a decade ago. So the... Yeah, he was the British ambassador in Uzbekistan, and he exposed the boiling alive of dissidents by the Uzbek president. For that, he lost his career and was traduced, had his reputation ruined in the British media. So this happens all the time to whistleblowers. It's very rare for whistleblowers to emerge unscathed. At the very least, they will lose their jobs, and most of us will lose our liberty at some point too. And of course, we see the fate of Chelsea Manning, currently languishing in an American security max prison for 35 years for exposing war crimes on the part of the Americans. And now, of course, Edward Snowden has had to find refuge in Russia. So I think what I would like to highlight to you is that I think whistleblowers can be the regulators of last resort. When every other system of oversight, of democratic accountability has failed, and it continues to fail for many reasons that you have explained wonderfully this afternoon. When that happens, the last recourse we have to any sort of accountability and justice is for brave whistleblowers to come out, particularly from the intelligence agencies, the military, and from government. So every time you see a Snowden emerge, and there will be more Snowdens, I promise you that, as things get worse and worse, Every time you see that happen, please give your support. Either financially make donations to support their legal cases, or just go out there and campaign, research what they're actually saying rather than just reading up on the salacious details of their personal lives, which is how they have their reputations ruined. Look at the meat of what they're saying. Lobby your politicians for a proper investigation and accountability for those disclosures. And give as much support as you can just within your community. Spread the word. Get people angry, because there's a lot to be angry about, and that will get them motivated, out on the streets, talking to their politicians, trying to make a difference. And I think at this incredibly dangerous era, we need to get off our backsides and start taking action.
Thank you, Annie. One of the other guys is Scott Bennett, who was responsible for in the CIA for finding out how the financing works. And he did an excellent job, and he wrote a book about it because he found out, ultimately, this is a short version, that America was behind all most of the financing. And he got all the bank details, and he wrote a book about it. And he sent it to all the senators and people in Congress and all the media. And only one person wrote back, and that was Ron Paul, probably the only non-corrupt politicians in America. And he now advises people to use that as a proof that the system doesn't work. Because by not mentioning it, that the system knows about it and doesn't do anything, shows that your court case is probably true. So it's a very smart way of how you can use information, and I think we should do that more. Not only supporting financially people, but also court cases, and also spreading this information and use it in a very intelligent way. Coen, you're a very good talker. And what can you give, what do you advise to the people? Because it's a lot of heavy burden.
We've been talking last years a lot about the 1% and the 99%. And of course, we're looking today at the culprits. But in my last chapter, I used a quote by Martin Luther King, who says, in the end, you don't remember the words of your enemies, but you remember the silence of your friends. And to my feeling, that is all the good people in the world who are saying nothing about what is happening, who are looking the other way, and I'm from an academia. Also there, as I told you this morning, the same problem occurs. So people don't want to look at the problem, at what is going on. So they look the other way, they keep silent. And everybody who is a whistleblower, who is just asking questions about the elephant in the room, is being ignored, marginalized, ridiculed, and in the end expelled. And this is our problem of everybody here in this room as well. So you can do everything in your own environment, with your own friends or family, at your work, but you have to speak out. If you keep silent, then this is what in the end will be our total problem for the whole world community. So it's opening up your mouth.
And what else practical things people can do?
This wasn't practical, or?
Just talking.
Well, as I told you myself, sometimes I write emails to our Kamerleden, how you call that, Parliament, and members of Parliament, everyone. So you'll have my email sometime soon, to express my feelings and to point them out what I think is wrong in society, or what is going on in the world. And of course, I don't do that every day, because I've seen from some other people that you could get arrested from him because you're spamming, or you're, well, you should be in a psychiatric institution in the end. So you have to use the right time to do this. But if you really feel outraged, I think people can also write to the universities, or to companies, or to Parliament. So just express yourself and make yourself responsible, and the other people accountable for what is going on. If people stay silent, things will not change. And it's not coming top down, but bottom up.
Thank you. William. Yeah, applause. from geopolitics, what could people do? What do you advise?
What comes to mind as I'm listening to the various comments, my colleagues here on the podium, is a beautiful, very simple example. Is this?
Yeah, it's working.
Yeah, okay. That gives an idea of what one human being with a positive feeling toward other human beings, feeling of love, if you want to call it that, can do to change the world in a definite way. And that is after the California labeling referendum campaign about labeling GMO as genetically manipulated food products, which almost every food product in America today is. Monsanto, it came out afterwards, spent through front organizations like the Communist Party used to do during the Cold War. They financed anti-labeling campaigns and defeated the referendum. The housewife in a small town in, I believe, Idaho, read about this Monsanto sabotage and was so upset that they will not even allow consumers to have an honest choice of whether they want to eat poison or want to eat healthy food. She started a Facebook page, I believe, and said, let's make May 15th a universal day for a march against Monsanto. That Facebook page went viral, literally worldwide viral. And on May 15th, I was contacted by some people in Frankfurt to make some comments about my Seeds of Destruction book and Monsanto and GMO. But millions and millions of people around the world marched against Monsanto. That's one reason Monsanto is being camouflaged today in the underbelly, the dirty underbelly of Bayer AG, the company that invented heroin, by the way, in the 1880s. Nice company, nice bunch of chaps. And they're killing the bees also, by the way, so they're skilled at the art of murder of nature. So that's one example of how one, you would say, looking at this housewife, mother of several children, as I recall, she would think, what can I do? I'm sitting here in Idaho, I'm powerless. No, she did an act, a decision to be powerful. And I think anger is useful, it's an emotion, it's human, it's understandable, but feel powerful. Get out of the hypnosis of the collective. The collective lulls us to sleep, you know, watching television or watching whatever, reading the newspapers. And really think of ways to connect with other human beings in a positive way. That's my message, and that's what I see happening more and more in the world today. And that's freaking the daylights out of these patriarchs that are not able to do what they wanted to do. Their timetable's been ruined.
If I can hook into that, so there's a huge difference between having no pirates in our parliament and just one, right? So if you would all vote for Ansela van der Leest, it's going to be even more than one. But there's a way big difference between having none and having one inside, okay? So it's up to you guys.
I just want to pick up on what William was saying as well, because sometimes it can feel disempowering when you look at these closed, secretive deals made by governments or by the EU. And similarly with Monsanto, because this was part of this as well, we have, as citizens across Europe, pretty much defeated the TTIP, the Transatlantic Trade and Investment Partnership, which is the successor to the failed ACTA, the Anti-Copyright Trade Act. Now, both of these have been defeated by people power, people mobilizing, getting together, campaigning, lobbying. And this is going to help save some of our ways of life, I think. So it is possible. It's daunting, but if you get together and think about it and act strategically, then we have a fighting chance. And it's also fun.
Rico, I'm going to test you a little bit now. Because you can have a one-topic party, one-issue party. And you saw with the Partij van de Dieren, and it worked very well. And now you see that their ideas are taken over by the others, by the other parties, because they tried to get rid of the party then. So it could be a good strategy of supporting the Pirate Party this time. Some people, you would not expect it, say, I would like to vote for the Pirate Party, but they have the wrong name. And now I heard you saying that you have a way of turning that around, because actually you're going to fight the pirates. Because they were the bankers. They are the pirates. We are not. The party that is in favor of freedom is the one with taking all the decisions and laws against freedom. So how can you turn that around? Try to convince us.
We're going to stick to this thing, yeah? So George van Houts mentioned that some other people have an image issue as well, like you guys, with the conspiracy stuff and all of that. So, yeah, if you're intimidated with that image thingy, with Pirate Party as a name, you can call us PPNL if you want to, if that helps you at all. Yeah, it's the same deal. If you want to look beyond the name and look to what we stand for, you can read our program, which is going to be available October 16th. If you want to move a little further in that, you can help write us, help us write that program. That's the way Pirate Party works. It's all members joining together and getting our message across the best we can to all of you guys. So is that an answer to your question then?
It's a start, yes.
So let's hear the rest.
No. I think you have very good ideas.
Yeah, so
and it's your basic idea is from bottom up. So I think the time is right for a party like yours to get into. I think when people see that a whole country is taken over, Iceland, by the Pirate Party, you will get a lot of publicity. You have a very good party leader that's photogenic, and you have a lot of brains as well. I love Ancilla. Ancilla, maybe you remember, was in the program on TV. Which one was it? No.
RTL,
no.
RTL.
And Umberto Tan. And the Gordon was talking, and she couldn't get her word in. And then she said, als je nou eens stopt met dat snuiven, dan kom ik ook eens aan het woord. That made him quiet.
Yeah, so let me hook into that. So one of the annoying things that Ancilla endures during interviews is that these interviewers start about her looks, and just after that about that incident with Gordon. So maybe we can just leave that behind and focus on the content, because that's what we're about.
Yeah.
So now hang on. You mentioned the name and the issue we have with the Pirate Party as a name. So the way I would answer that is, yeah, it's true. If you're into the robbery stuff, you like Robin Hood. That's a good example, right? And so who sets an example for pirates? We don't really have one, maybe. Johnny Depp. Yeah, there you go. All right. Okay. Yeah, or Keith Richards. That's his dad, right? So, anyway, thing is, with pirates, if you want a role model, you become one. That's the idea. Okay. So if you want a role model, just show your neighbors and your friends and everything what this thing is about. And that's your role model right there.
Thank you. Koen.
What I would like to add to the discussion is that what I feel, also in the discussions here, is that many people have different fields of expertise. And they see that it is wrong in their field, like every other field that we are discussing in the media and in alternative media. And I think the time is ripe now for joining hands and to see that we all have common problems. So it's not only the pharmaceuticals or the banks or 9/11, it's all interconnected. And if we start joining up our efforts and joining hands, basically, then I think this will become bigger and bigger. And as been told here today, this development, this is going on. It cannot be stopped. That's the good idea, the good news for today, I think, and that's also because of the high turnout here, but also what we feel in discussions and on televisions and people waking up. Although there will be a rough time ahead of us. maybe. Yeah.
I think technology will be used to control us and to spy on us and know as much as possible about us. On the other hand, I think there are very interesting developments in technology now, like the cryptocurrencies, the blockchain technology will get less centralization. Blockchain technology will be the next big thing after internet. Blockchain technology is the technology behind Bitcoin, and it makes it possible to do peer-to-peer transactions. You don't need a trusted third party anymore. Therefore, you don't need a bank, you don't need an exchange, and a lot of other trusted parties. Now, the banks are scared about it. They are investing hundreds of millions per year to try to control this, but they won't. And this could be used by many to change a lot of systems. And sometimes some wise person said, don't fight the system, just make it irrelevant.
Something comes to mind to add on to what has been said so far. There have been scientific studies of how people die, many of them. And one such study I read about recently concluded that people die. You know, there's all this scare stories about Fukushima, the radiation spreading across the Pacific and da-da-da-da-da, or Chernobyl and so forth. People die not so much from the radiation exposure, but from the fear of radiation exposure, because what fear does is shut down our human immune system and stops our breathing. Believe it or not, this is a therapy I'm actively engaged on myself in the last 4 years to overcome certain problems and situations in my physical body. And I was in China about 4 years ago on another speaking tour and had a visit from a Chinese traditional medicine trained doctor, the granddaughter of the last Kaiser or last emperor's traditional Chinese physician. And if you're the physician to the emperor, you don't make mistakes. And the grandfather is still alive. He's in his late 90s and passed on some of his wisdom to this young woman in her 20s. And she said, our professors tell us when we study at the university in Beijing that 1/3 of cancer patients die from the shock of being told by a man in a white coat, you have cervical cancer, you have lung cancer, you have throat cancer, whatever, breast cancer. 1/3 die from the treatment, if they survive the first third, the chemo and the radiation, and the other third just die naturally. They don't buy any of it and they go on with their life. So I think that question about fear is something all of us should think about. What do we really fear? Because how many billion people are there in the world? How many patriarchs, oligarchs are there in the world? It's not just billionaires, but people like David Rockefeller, God forbid, or George Soros. Really sad creatures. They're not human beings in a sense. There are very, very few of them. And they have a pyramid of influence, of hypnosis, of all sorts of media games and subliminal games and things that they do. But in the end, we win if we lose our fear of ourselves. So I think that's an optimistic message I would like to leave you with from my side anyway. It's infinite what we can do. The people, 250 some odd people in this room, it's unlimited what we can do to change this world for the better if we do it from a motivation of love. Simple as that. It's not simple, by the way, but it's as simple as that.
Jan, can I add something positive as well? At TU Delft, we have about 25,000 students, and Studium Generale did a survey just before the summer to ask them about their ethical perception of their work. Let's say the research that they are doing, or the kind of things that they see in their work. If they encounter situations where they have to make a decision, an ethical decision, whether the work that they are doing is what they feel right or wrong. And the other question was, what would you do? Would you speak out, or would you just leave it be and don't mention it because it might have repercussions for you in your job or with your boss? And it showed that almost 50% of the students are worried about these things. And almost 40% says that they will speak out about it and they will mention it. And I think we should address all our knowledge, and most of us are a little bit older, and we should not forget about the children. They were very young when 9/11 occurred. They don't know about it. We should tell them, and we should explain to them all the repercussions, even if it is difficult or even if you get ridiculed. But we should address the young people, because they are the ones that will follow us in our jobs, and they will make the world of tomorrow. And we all want this world to be a better world than the world of today. Well.
I'd like to add to that Pirate Party is commonly known as a young people's party, right? We're from the internet, and that hasn't been around that long. It's one of the parties that are growing in members in Holland, maybe the only one. And the thing is, it's not just the young that join, right? I wouldn't say the elderly, that wouldn't be the right word. But it's especially the people that are worried about their children or their grandchildren and their future that are joining Pirate Party. So don't think of this as a young people's movement. It's everybody's people's movement, including yours.
Right.
I got a request to mention something. There is an event tomorrow. It's called lichtop911.nl. It will be in Zeist. They have a little table stand over there. They also have connection with Daniel Gansja. I think Daniel Gansja is one of the best speakers about what's going on in the world. I would love to have him invited as well, but he was already booked for today. Maybe you can go tomorrow. I don't know. Go ask about the stand and what they do there. It's, we would recommend it if you can. Before I forget, we do very well regarding time. In a few minutes in New York, if they keep the time well, we get Fernando Imposimato to speak. He's the honorary president of the Supreme Court of Italy. And as I told you, he was going after the mafia first, and now he's dedicated to the criminals of 9/11. But they don't trust the American legal system yet, so they're just gathering information yet, and they want to link up with some of the activities in Europe. So there will be a connection, and I hope it works. I'm very dependent. Okay.
I'd like to know from the sir in the middle and from the English lady. There's a book by George Orwell, 1984. It prophesizes society like this. But also in that book there is 3 world powers: the Eurasian power and the ship power. And I see coming with the Brexit that the TTIP will no longer go through, and that America, Canada, and Mexico will become one together with England, and then we'll make a war with not a real war like in the book, but because of there is a war or the threat of a war, certain products will not be available because of the war. What do you think about that?
I have to say, my finger is not really on the political pulse of the UK these days. I've been an expat for many years, for obvious reasons.
But they already started fighting. You cannot have a referendum and then 52 against 48%, and then say the people have spoken. we all know here that it's a 50-50. You cannot build something on it. But you do. How the hell?
Well, it was a majority vote. No matter how slim the majority, they have to go with it.
A majority is 70%. It's not 52%. You know that as well as I do.
No, I think the majority is just if you get more votes for one side than the other, that is a majority.
52%. There's no...
Yeah, but probably maybe Brexit is not even going ahead because they will try to delay it for 4 or 5 years, and by then there will be much more young people that are in favor of staying in Europe, and some of the old ones might have disappeared, and therefore the balance is slightly different. That might be the tactics.
There was one, I did reread 1984 in 2008. I'd had to study it at school, hated the book. 2008, I reread it for displeasure, and it was like a tick box exercise. Yeah, we've got this, we've got this, we've got this in the UK. Time to get out.
Right.
Very good. Any of the panelists, any positive, we've got a lot of positive suggestions, practical things. Anything to add before we move over to New York?
Jan?
I just want to make a very quick point, picking up on some of the other comments from the panel. It's wonderful that people are coming together. I recognise that. I do a lot of activism, moving these circles, have done for years. One word of warning, though, is look to the privacy of your communications. Because one of the... you were talking about control, the Kissinger quote, potentially. The oligarchs want control of what we are allowed to learn and ingest as information, and then what we choose to plan and act on that information. And we all do that over the internet now, be it watching videos or having conversations or organising an activist event or whatever. You do that on Facebook, you're just living the spy's wet dream. You're giving everything to them, giving away your strategy. You do it in open email, ditto. You do it over Twitter, ditto. The spies love this. They've always had the capability to do what Snowden disclosed. They have had since the 1990s. But in those days, it had to be target-orientated because it was resource-intensive. Now with the internet, they can just do it to all of us just like that. So think. Be mindful of your privacy because we cannot guarantee the governments can even control the spies to obey the law around privacies. So look to your own privacy. Take responsibility for it. Use open source software, not Microsoft or Apple. Use Tor for anonymized web browsing. Use Tails for an anonymized operating system. Use OTR off the record for anonymized SMSs. All sorts of things. If you use all these things, Snowden reckons that gives you a fighting chance with privacy. You're not giving away your most intimate thoughts. You're not giving away your political strategies for free. And that gives us all much more of a fighting chance when trying to avoid the oversight of the spies. And they are endemic. It's a bit daunting to try and get to grips with this, but I don't know how many of you have heard of crypto parties, which are one. In virtually every city today, this is a global phenomenon. Socially minded geeks will give their time for free if you want to take your laptop along, and they will help you install all these tools and teach you how to use them. And more of us are doing that, and I really recommend that you look into crypto parties and take responsibility for your own privacy.
Just to elaborate. It is an excellent point, Annie, and to elaborate on that. So pirates meet, right? Usually on a Friday afternoon or whatever, Friday evening, in public places. And what we're going to do, at least for the next half year, probably just keep doing that, is in addition to hammering out cool plans, use that time to get you guys started on these things. So Annie mentioned a bunch of tools that you go, oh, I didn't make notes, what did he say? Well, just come to one of those pirate meetings. They're on our website, and we'll be happy to talk you through whatever you can do on your mobile devices or laptops or your home computers. Okay, so we're here to help on that respect as well.
Very good. Very good practical thing to get involved. Just for your information, your phone calls are being taped in the 2 rooms below the central station in the Netherlands. In Central Station Amsterdam, when they were building the north-south line, they made some extra rooms. It's full with Hewlett-Packard machines. They tape all your stuff. There is software on it with a backdoor, and if you use 3 words, it's automatically taped. And after 24 hours, if you don't use these words, it's thrown away, but otherwise it's being... And another country is then doing the analysis so that our own services can say that they didn't do it. Just to share some information with you. I heard it from Marcel Bernard from Hewlett Packard himself. So, but I like those practical things. I see Guido. He has another question.
We promised this morning to give Leo a 2-minute a chance to talk about his justice idea to go to justice, to make a court. Leo, are you there?
Yeah, I'm ready. Hello, my name is Leo Bijl, and I have an idea. Most of the people here, I'm apologizing, I'm not speaking English anymore. For most of the people it's better to speak Dutch, I think so. Jullie hebben allemaal vandaag kennis genomen, voor zover jullie het al niet wisten, maar ik denk dat jullie allemaal al strafbare feiten hadden vernomen. Die feiten die zijn onmiskenbaar aanwezig. Iedereen ziet het recht voor zijn neus zich afspelen. Het is gebeurd, het is gewoon bewezen. Wat ik nodig heb eigenlijk, en dat is het volgende van Coen, 4 hele strakke dingen die wij op papier kunnen zetten, die onmiskenbaar aantonen, Socratisch, dat het een misdaad is tegen de mensheid. 9/11, dat sturen wij aan elk Kamerlid en we vragen hem om daar notitie van te nemen. En dit zijn strafbare feiten. Artikel 160 strafvordering geeft onweerlegbaar weer dat wij verplicht zijn om een strafbaar feit aan te melden. En we hebben jouw hulp nodig en jij gaat met ons dat aangeven. Dat is niet meer uitstellen, dat is niet meer debatteren, dat is geen brandvertraging in de vorm van een commissie of in de vorm van weet ik veel wat voor verantwoordelijke persoon die dat dan weer gaat sussen en blussen. Nee, dat is afgelopen. Het is nog een tweede brief eroverheen. En dat is dan een derde brief als laatste. En daarna gaan we gewoon simpelweg aangifte doen bij de politie in strafrecht. Dat wordt overhandigd aan de politie en dat kunnen ze niet weigeren. Artikel 163 strafvordering en artikel 165 strafvordering. Het is heel simpel, mensen. Wij worden geholpen door de wet. Als justitie de wet niet gebruikt, dan gebruiken wij het wel. En als de rechter de wet niet gebruikt, dan leggen wij het hem goed voor. Want hij is niet partijdig, dan zijn wij wel partijdig. Wij komen op voor menselijkheid. En dat kan alleen maar één ding. Dat is het strafrecht. En wie wil meedoen, die doet mee. En stuurt een mail. Dat is mijn idee naar juridischteam@poortwachtenmonitor.nl. Maar ik wil eerst een heel goed masterplan hebben. Dat zit al in mijn hoofd. Dat zou ik graag willen, dat ik dat met Coen, maar ik kan zijn medewerking natuurlijk alleen maar vragen. En ik hoop dat hij mee wil werken. En als wij dan massaal allemaal de Tweede Kamer gaan belagen met deze mails, dan weet ik zeker, dan gaan wij een hele diepe rimpel in die vijver veroorzaken. Dank je wel.
Dan vraag ik aan jou, Coen.
Ja,
tuurlijk.
Het e-mailadres. We gaan het zo nog even... misschien moet je even naar de techniek en het e-mailadres. Als je even naar boven loopt en dan maken ze het even, dan projecteren ze het. Want mensen zijn visueler ingesteld dan... ga maar mee met Yannick. Can we get the connection? Is it working?
Ja.
Okay.
Including the kidnapping and murder of President Alvaro Moro and the attempted assassination of Pope John Paul II. He's a Grand Officer of the Order of Merit of the Republic of Italy. In his juristic capacity, his investigative capacity, he came to realize the extreme importance of Operation Gladio in modern Italian history. He's author of the books The Big Lie, International Terrorism, The Republic of Unpunished Tragedies, 55 Days That Changed Italy, about the Moro case, and I think most relevantly for us, the book Strategy of Tension. He has recommended that the crimes of 9/11 be tried at the International Criminal Court, which was set up to protect the world from criminal acts of war. So he's a man of considerable courage, as well as judicial expertise. Now, his presentation will be followed by a Q&A. So if you have some questions for him, please write them on your index cards. I'll get them, and we'll take care of that after his talk, and he'll be accompanied by a translator. So, if we're ready, please join me in welcoming Judge Machon here today.
We blijven het 5 minuten volgen ongeveer. Het gaat een uur duren.
Ladies and gentlemen, before making my modest speech about the strategy of detention that I want to dedicate to the 9/11 war victims of terrorism and wars, I need to thank the organizers, the attorneys and experts for putting on this important event at the wonderful Cooper University. I apologize for my English in advance, but will do my best for all of you here and around the world. One of the greatest ancient historians, the Greek Thucydides, said, "We must know our past to understand the present and be able to predict the future." Our history, as we know, is polluted with the fabrication of silence and misinformation starting from the true master of the masters and political crimes. This is because modern democracies, often masking tyrannical regimes, use the media as instruments of disinformation and distortion of conscience. This must fear for preventive wars. There is no future without truth and justice. Speaking of strategy of detention, we cannot influence by the trials and verdicts of guilty or not guilty, but by inner behavior of the nation's involved. As regards the truth, there are often two truths, the historical and the judicial truth, which do not coincide with one another. The historical truth is often only the probable truth, but we cannot build the history only on the basis of the scientific and mathematical evidence that often is impossible to get. Before speaking about the 9/11, I like to describe the birth of the strategy of detention in Italy, which dates back in 1947. The banditry of Giuliano, who supported of the separation of Sicily from Italy and Italy's annexation by the United States. The first massacre happened in Italy was at Hotel Legionestre on May 1st. In April, the People Bloc Party won the elections in Sicily against the Christian Democratic Party. This victory alarmed the landowners, the Italian politicians, and the United States. In response, on May 1st, Giuliano's men fired a series of machine gun rounds at demonstrators, killing adults and children. There were also some Italian politicians amongst the instigators of the massacre. The United States government, for its part, provided weapons and financial support.
Ladies and gentlemen, his English is not that perfect. You can see it if you make note of the link. You can look at yourself, tape it, and see it also tomorrow. The name of the event is Justice in Focus. Yeah, maybe you should make a picture with your phone. That's quicker. You can't make a mistake then. It's on the agenda? Yeah, but not the link. And so. Sorry? Yeah, dank. What? Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll call it a day. I want to thank all the volunteers that made it happen. Oh, that's the other one. Rudy's team, poortwachten, monitor. Very good. I don't want to ask if you have more questions, because I know there are many. The last time we did this event was 10 years ago here in the Jaarbeurs. Maybe we should do it in 5 years' time. Maybe a lot have changed. I want to thank all the volunteers and you for being here during such a nice day. Thank you very much.